At least 4 people have been killed and 30 injured in Kenya amid nationwide protests over sharply rising fuel prices. At least 348 people were arrested on Monday, according to Interior Minister Kipchumba Murkomen, as people gathered in the streets to show support for a nationwide public transport strike. United States President Donald Trump has announced he will postpone a scheduled attack against Iran at the request of regional leaders in the Middle East. The reversal, he said, came in light of the fact that serious negotiations are now taking place.
The race pitting a candidate endorsed by President Donald Trump against Congressman Thomas Massie, a rare Republican critic of Israel, has become the most expensive House of Representatives primary contest in the history of the United States. The avalanche of spending, totalling more than 34 million by Monday, according to official records, highlights the significance of the elections that could oust one of the few Republican opponents to the war with Iran. Cuba has announced that the country is nearly out of fuel following months of increasing pressure from Washington. The US cut off oil shipments from Venezuela to Cuba, then imposed a near-total oil blockade.
The administration of United States President Donald Trump has moved to dismiss criminal fraud charges against Indian billionaire Gautam in a case where he is accused of bribing Indian officials for as much as 265 meters to secure contracts and lying to US investors to land a solar energy project in India, allegations that his company has longed. The case after Adani pledged by the US Department of Justice, DJ Adani, pledged a $10 BN investment in the US.
US President Donald Trump has said he is holding off a military attack on Iran planned for Tuesday at the request of Gulf states as serious negotiations are now taking place. In a post on Truth Social, he said he had been asked to do so by the leaders of Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Iranian human rights activist and 2023 Nobel Peace Prize, Narges Mohammadi has returned to her home after being discharged from hospital. Her foundation said Mohammadi, 54, was released from Pars Hospital in Tehran on Sunday, the Narges Foundation said on Monday. She was transferred from prison to a hospital in early May after she had 2 episodes of loss of consciousness and a severe cardiac crisis. Palestinian group Fatah concluded its 8th General Conference late Saturday, but the results of the elections of the group's leadership bodies, the Central Committee and Revolutionary Council, were not announced until Monday afternoon. The delay compelled Wael Lafi, the head of the Elections Committee in the General Conference, who is also the legal advisor of the Palestinian president, to defend the process and delay even before convening questions about membership, funding, and the general political direction of the group, which dominates the Palestinian Authority, overshadowed preparations for the General Conference.
Police in California have said they are responding to an active shooter at a mosque in San Diego. The authorities called on residents in Monday to avoid the area of the incident at the Islamic Center of San Diego, ICSD. Anthropic announced Monday it has acquired Stainless, a startup founded by former Stripe engineer Alex Rattray, whose software is widely used by rival AI labs, including OpenAI and Google. Anthropic didn't disclose terms of the deal. However, the information reported last week that the company was in talks to acquire Stainless, which is backed by Sequoia Capital and Andreessen Horowitz, for more than $300 million.
A California jury has tossed out Elon Musk's high-profile lawsuit against OpenAI and its boss Sam Altman. In a unanimous verdict, the case was thrown out because Musk had filed his lawsuit after a statute of limitations to bring such claims had expired. Military units in Belarus have begun joint training exercises with Russia on nuclear weapons combat. The Belarusian Ministry of Defense has announced. The ministry said on Monday that the exercise was a planned event and not directed at any specific third party, according to a statement quoted by the Interfax news agency.
Next Era Energy is seeking to acquire Dominion Energy in an all-stock deal valued at about $67 BN, creating a massive power company as the energy needs of artificial intelligence drive demand higher in the United States. It is one of the biggest proposed mergers so far this year and would create the world's largest regulated electric utility business by market capitalization, the companies said on Monday. Voters are preparing to head to the polls for a primary election in Pennsylvania, an eastern US state that has served as a crucial battleground in recent national elections. Republican and Democratic candidates are facing off to represent their respective parties in the upcoming midterm elections in November, a test for United States President Donald Trump's second term that could determine control of the US Congress for the remainder of his time in office.
Somaliland has marked its first year of independence following recognition by Israel, but not everyone in the breakaway region of Somalia is celebrating its new ally. Thousands gathered in the capital, Hargeisa, on Monday for a military parade and traditional dances. Excitement was heightened after Israel's decision in December. Diverse country to do so, Sole Autonomy Somaliland is the first country to do so since autonomy from Somalia was declared in 1991. Cuba's President Miguel Diaz-Canel has said that the island nation does not seek confrontation, but warned that United States military action against it would result in a bloodbath. The president said in a social media post on Monday, and does not have aggressive intentions against any country, but had the absolute legitimate right to defend military threats. Defend itself if the US follows through on mounting military threats.
Elon Musk's $150 billion lawsuit against OpenAI has been rejected in court and declared in favour of the artificial intelligence company he helped establish. Decrypt reported a short while ago. A California jury ruled on Monday against Musk and dismissed all his claims against OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and co-founder Greg Brockman.
A US jury on Monday ruled against Elon Musk in his lawsuit against OpenAI, finding the artificial intelligence company not liable to the world's richest person for having allegedly strayed from its original mission to benefit humanity. In a unanimous verdict, the jury in Oakland, California federal court said Musk had brought his case too late.
Islamabad. Opposition lawmakers on Monday staged a protest on the National Assembly floor, demanding proper medical care for incarcerated PTI founder and former Prime Minister Imran Khan. During today's session, PTI members did not point out a lack of quorum as the session commenced, which was chaired by Deputy Speaker Ghulam Mustafa Shah.
Pakistan on Monday strongly condemned drone attacks on Saudi Arabia and expressed solidarity with the kingdom. A statement from the Foreign Office, FO, said. In a post on X, Saudi Arabia's defence ministry reported that 3 drones were intercepted and destroyed on Monday morning, having originated from Iraqi airspace. The United Arab Emirates condemned the incident earlier today, while Iraq said it is investigating the incident.
The ongoing scrutiny of the United States as World Cup co-host and FIFA's role as tournament organiser has overshadowed the growing list of security concerns and protests in Mexico, where the tournament opener kicks off next month. The World Cup 2026 opens in Mexico City on June 11, with the home team taking on South Africa at the Estadio Azteca. But football fans are wary of recent incidents of violence and frequent protests in tournament host cities across Mexico.
United States President Donald Trump has withdrawn his $10 BN lawsuit against the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, stemming from a leak of his tax returns, and said his administration will create a $1.77 BN anti-weaponization fund that would compensate some of Trump's political allies. The court filing, released on Monday in Florida, did not disclose the terms of the deal, including whether either party settled. The United Nations has urged Israel to prevent acts of genocide in Gaza and raised concerns over ethnic cleansing across the Palestinian territory and the occupied West Bank. A new report investigating Israeli military conduct in the war on Gaza up until May 2025 and published by the UN Human Rights Office on Monday concluded that Israel has committed serious violations of international humanitarian law, which in many cases may have amounted to war crimes and other atrocity crimes.
A US jury has ruled against Elon Musk in his lawsuit against OpenAI, finding the artificial intelligence company not liable to the world's richest person for having allegedly strayed from its ambition to benefit humanity. The jury unanimous verdict on Monday. The jury in Oakland, California federal court said Musk had brought his case too late. The jury deliberated less than 2 hours.
Elon Musk's claim that he was mistreated by his OpenAI co-founders failed after 9 California jurors returned a unanimous verdict that his lawsuits had been filed too late. Musk accused Sam Altman, Greg Brockman, OpenAI and Microsoft of stealing a charity by creating a for-profit affiliate of the Frontier AI lab. Jurors, however, found that any harms that Musk suffered came before the deadline for filing his claims under the law. Defense Minister Khawaja Asif on Monday said that India would be relegated to history and its geography changed if it attempted any future misadventure against Pakistan. In an interview on the Geo News program Capital Talk, Asif said, as a nation, India thinks that its esteem has been damaged.
Lebanon's health ministry says the number of people killed in the country by Israeli strikes during the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah, which escalated at the beginning of March, has surpassed 3,000. It put the death toll at 3,020 on Monday, a grim milestone in the fighting that shows no sign of abating despite a fragile ceasefire. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel warned Monday that a US military assault on Cuba will cause a bloodbath with incalculable consequences amid between Havana and Washington. Cuba poses no threat, nor does it have aggressive plans or intentions against any country. It has none against the US, nor has it ever had any, something the government of that nation knows well, the leader said in a post on X.
Islamabad, Pakistan. Pakistan is scrambling to keep channels of diplomacy open between the United States and Iran amid escalating rhetoric from both sides and growing signals from Washington that it is prepared to restart attacks that have been on pause since an April 8 ceasefire in the US-Israel war on Iran. Pakistan's Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi arrived in Tehran on Saturday for a 2-day visit, meeting President Masoud Pezeshkian, Interior Minister Eskandar Momeni and Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf as Islamabad scrambled to prevent ceasefire negotiations from collapsing altogether. Ghalibaf has also been Iran's chief negotiator in peace talks with the US to end the war, which began on February 28.
Donald Trump's effort to unseat Republican Congressman Thomas Massie has transformed Kentucky's 4th district primary into one of the most closely watched and expensive races of the US midterm season. Massie, a conservative known for repeatedly breaking with his own party, provoked Trump's anger after opposing US strikes on Iran and backing efforts to release files linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the 7-term congressman is facing a heavily funded challenge from Ed Galrine, a former Navy SEAL endorsed by the president.